Have you ever found yourself staring at the ceiling at 2 a.m., wondering why your body keeps pulling you out of sleep? Do your nights feel like they revolve around the bathroom clock? Just when you finally get comfortable, just when your body begins to rest, you're up again. And somewhere in the back of your mind, have you quietly asked yourself, is this just my bladder getting weaker, or is something starting to go wrong? It's an unsettling thought, because deep down, sleep isn't just about rest. It's about healing, clarity, energy for the next day. And when it keeps breaking apart, it can feel like your body is slipping out of sync. Most people immediately blame the bladder. It seems logical. Maybe it's shrinking, maybe it's aging, maybe this is just how things go now. But what if that assumption is leading you in the wrong direction? What if your bladder isn't the real problem at all? Here's where the story takes an unexpected turn. The process that's waking you up at night may actually begin hours earlier, when you're wide awake and not thinking about it at all. Throughout the day, as you sit, stand, cook, walk, or simply move through life, gravity is quietly doing its work. Fluid slowly drifts downward into your lower legs and ankles. You might notice faint sock marks by evening. Maybe your calves feel just a little heavier than they used to. It doesn't hurt, it doesn't alarm you, so it's easy to dismiss. But that subtle pulling is not meaningless, because the moment you lie down, everything changes. The fluid that gravity pulled down all day begins to shift. It redistributes back into your bloodstream. It travels to your kidneys. And while you're trying to sleep, your body begins processing that extra fluid into urine. Suddenly, it's not your bladder misbehaving, it's your circulation completing a delayed task. And as circulation patterns and muscle tone gradually change over time, that nighttime fluid shift can become stronger, more noticeable, more disruptive. So instead of asking, why is my bladder waking me up? A more powerful question might be, what is my body quietly doing with fluid after I lie down? Because once you understand that hidden shift, once you see that this isn't random or inevitable, you begin to realize something important. The solution may not be about restricting water or accepting broken sleep. It may start much earlier in the day. And what most people never realize is that one small daytime habit can dramatically influence whether you wake once or 4 times tonight. While you're moving through your day, something subtle but powerful is happening beneath the surface. Every hour you spend sitting at the table, standing in the kitchen, watching television, or riding in the car, your body is quietly negotiating with gravity. Fluid naturally slips out of your bloodstream and settles into the tiny spaces between the tissues of your lower legs. That part is normal. It has always happened. But here's what changes over time. Veins may lose a bit of their elasticity, and the delicate valves inside them may not snap shut as tightly as they once did. They still work, just not with the same crisp efficiency. And if the calf and thigh muscles aren't contracting regularly, if they're not being used as often or as strongly, they don't provide the same pumping force that helps push blood and fluid back up toward the heart. Most people don't realize how essential those muscles are. In fact, clinical research shows they act almost like a second heart for your lower body. When that muscular assistance softens, even slightly, more fluid lingers in the legs by evening. You may see it as faint swelling. You may only feel it as heaviness, or you may not consciously notice it at all, but your body does. And here's where the quiet night shift begins. The moment you lie flat in bed, gravity releases its hold. That stored fluid, which patiently waited in your lower legs all day, begins to re-enter your bloodstream. Circulating volume increases, sometimes just enough to matter. Your kidneys, ever alert, detect this subtle rise and respond exactly as they were designed to. They filter, they adjust, they produce more urine. In other words, your body may be correcting a daytime fluid imbalance precisely when you're trying to sleep. Suddenly, those nighttime awakenings feel less mysterious. It's not necessarily a failing bladder. It may be a delayed circulation cycle completing its work. Now, this doesn't mean bladder conditions never exist, and if symptoms are persistent, worsening, painful, or tied to other medical concerns, it's always wise to speak with a healthcare professional. But for many people, those repeated nighttime trips are partly a fluid redistribution story, not simply weakness or decline. And that shift in understanding is empowering. Because if the issue begins during the day, that means the opportunity begins there too. So instead of focusing only on what happens at 2 a.m., the smarter and far more hopeful question becomes, what can we gently adjust before bedtime so your body doesn't have to finish unfinished business while you're asleep? And what you do in the final hours before lying down may matter more than you think.
If the real story begins during the day, then the solution must begin there too. And it starts in a place most people completely overlook. Not the bladder, not a pill, not a drastic change, the feet and ankles. It sounds almost too simple to matter, doesn't it? But here's what most people never realize. The lower legs contain a powerful movement system designed to assist circulation, and when it stays dormant for hours at a time, fluid lingers. Research in vascular physiology shows that even gentle ankle motion can significantly improve venous return when done consistently. The veins in your lower legs don't work alone. They depend on surrounding muscle contractions to help push blood upward. And the ankle joint acts like a mechanical gateway in that process. When your foot flexes and extends, your calf muscles subtly tighten and release, creating a quiet pumping action that encourages fluid to move. The problem is, many evenings pass without ever activating that system. So here's a simple way to wake it up. About an hour before bed, sit comfortably with both feet flat on the floor. Slowly lift your heels while keeping your toes down. Pause for a moment and then lower them gently. Then reverse it. Lift your toes while keeping your heels grounded. Pause and lower again. Move in a slow, controlled rhythm for about a minute on each foot. No rushing, no strain, just steady activation. After that, gently circle your ankles in both directions, engaging those smaller stabilizing muscles that often go unused. This isn't about intensity, it's about signaling. It's about reminding your lower legs to participate in circulation before you lie down. Many people notice their feet begin to feel warmer, lighter, almost as if something subtle has shifted. That warmth is often a sign that blood flow is improving. And while it may seem almost too modest to make a difference, this kind of targeted movement encourages fluid to begin redistributing earlier in the evening instead of waiting until your head hits the pillow. But here's the important part. The ankles are only the entry point because fluid doesn't just settle around the feet. Some of it lingers higher up in the calves and thighs. And unless those larger muscle groups are gently activated as well, your body may still save part of the job for 2 a.m. And that's where the next step becomes even more important.
Now here's where most people underestimate their own power. The ankles may start the process, but if fluid has settled deeper in the legs, in the calves, the thighs, the heavier muscle layers, then we need to gently recruit the true engines of lower body circulation. The thighs and hips are not just for walking or climbing stairs, they are powerful drivers of blood return. When these muscles contract, they compress the deep veins running between them, quietly pushing blood upward toward the heart. It's a natural pump built into your body. But if those muscles stay inactive for hours at a time, that pump slows down and fluid lingers. Studies in circulatory health show that something as simple as repeated sit-to-stand movements can significantly improve venous return, especially for people who spend much of the day seated. And this is where relief begins to replace worry, because this does not require intense workouts, gym equipment, or strain. In fact, strain would defeat the purpose. About 1 to 2 hours before bed, stand in front of a sturdy chair with your feet about hip-width apart. Slowly lower yourself down with control until you lightly touch the seat, not collapsing, just touching. Then press through your heels to stand back up. Smooth, steady, breathing normally. If your knees feel sensitive or your balance feels uncertain, place a cushion on the chair to reduce the depth or hold on to a stable surface for reassurance.
Even 8 to 12 slow repetitions are enough to wake up those large muscle groups. And you may notice something subtle afterward, warmth spreading through the thighs, a slight lightness in the lower legs. That sensation isn't overexertion, it's circulation responding. The goal is not fatigue, it's gentle flushing. It's telling your body, let's move this fluid now, not at 2 a.m. By encouraging this redistribution before you lie down, you reduce the sudden surge of fluid returning to circulation all at once during the night. You're spacing the workout. You're giving your kidneys less of a surprise. And once those larger muscles have done their part, there is one simple position, almost effortless, that allows gravity itself to finish what your muscles started. And it may be the easiest step of all. Now we turn to something that has been quietly influencing your body all day long: gravity. But this time, we invite it to help you instead of work against you. All day, gravity encourages fluid to settle downward. By evening, some of that fluid is still lingering in the lower tissues, waiting. But when you gently elevate your legs, you reduce the pressure that keeps that fluid pooled there. In simple terms, you're giving excess fluid a clear, unhurried pathway back toward your central circulation before bedtime ever arrives. And this step is surprisingly simple. You can lie on your bed or on the floor with your legs supported against a wall, or rest them comfortably on a few pillows. There is no perfect angle. Comfort matters more than precision. Your lower back should feel relaxed, not strained. Once your legs are elevated, begin with slow ankle pumps. Flex your feet towards you, then point them away, about 10 to 15 times. That gentle motion adds a mild muscular squeeze, assisting the upward shift you've already started. Then allow your legs to remain elevated and consciously soften the muscles. Let them relax completely. This is where breathing becomes part of the process. Slow, steady breaths, in through your nose, out through your mouth, signal your nervous system to settle. And when your nervous system shifts into a calmer state, your body often handles nighttime signals, including bladder urges, with greater control. Stay in this position for 5 to 10 minutes, that's all. Research on fluid redistribution shows that even short periods of elevation can reduce lower leg swelling and improve evening comfort. It isn't dramatic, it isn't instant, and it isn't a cure, especially if other medical conditions are involved. But many people notice something important when they make this a consistent evening ritual. Fewer sudden surges of fluid after lying flat, fewer abrupt awakenings, a quieter night overall. You're essentially helping your body complete its circulation task before sleep begins, instead of during it. And once circulation has been supported, once gravity has done its gentle assist, there's one small, often overlooked bathroom habit that can further reduce unnecessary nighttime trips, and it takes less than a minute before you turn out the lights.
After you've helped your body gently shift fluid and support circulation, there's one final step that many people overlook, and it has nothing to do with muscles, gravity, or strength. It has to do with completeness. Because here's something few people talk about. As the years pass, the bladder doesn't always empty fully on the first attempt. Research in urology shows that small amounts of urine, what clinicians call post-void residual, can remain behind without you feeling it. It's subtle. You walk away thinking you're finished, but overnight, even that small leftover volume can become the reason you're wide awake sooner than necessary, wondering why the urge feels so sudden. And this is where a simple, almost surprisingly gentle strategy can make a difference. It's called double voiding. Before bed, use the bathroom as you normally would, but don't rush. Give yourself time. If possible, sit down, even if you normally wouldn't. Sitting can help the pelvic floor muscles relax more fully, which often allows more complete emptying. When you feel finished, don't immediately leave. Remain there or stand calmly and wait about 20 to 30 seconds. Take a few slow breaths. Let your body settle. Then try again, gently, without pushing or straining. Many people are genuinely surprised that a little more urine passes. Not a lot, just enough to matter. This isn't about force. In fact, straining can irritate the bladder and make things worse. It's about patience. It's about giving your nervous system a moment to shift into a calmer state so the bladder can release what it may have held back. Of course, if you're experiencing difficulty urinating, pain, burning, or a consistently weak stream, that's important to discuss with a healthcare professional, as some underlying conditions require proper evaluation. But for many individuals, this quiet pause and try again habit reduces that first early wake-up call, the one that starts the cycle for the rest of the night. And when you combine this with supporting circulation earlier in the evening, something begins to change. You're no longer reacting at 2 a.m., you're preparing at 8 or 9 p.m. But before you put all of this into practice tonight, there's one more important perspective that ties everything together, and it may give you even more peace of mind. Before you try these steps tonight, it's important to zoom out and see the full picture. Nighttime urination is common, yes, but it isn't always caused by fluid shifts alone. Sometimes there are deeper contributors: uncontrolled blood sugar, heart or kidney concerns, sleep apnea, certain medications, prostate changes. If you ever notice swelling that is severe or sudden, shortness of breath, pain, burning with urination, or a dramatic shift in your pattern, those are signals worth paying attention to. Those are conversations to have with a healthcare professional. None of these strategies are meant to replace medical care. They are meant to support normal physiology in a gentle, practical way. And here's the encouraging part. This approach works with your body's natural design instead of fighting it. You're helping circulation earlier in the evening. You're allowing fluid to redistribute before sleep begins. You're ensuring the bladder empties as fully and as comfortably as possible. No extremes, no harsh restrictions, just small, consistent habits. And small habits, practiced consistently, often create more reliable change than dramatic overhauls. Better sleep rarely comes from a single trick. It comes from understanding how your body operates and making subtle adjustments that respect it. Try these steps calmly. Observe how your body responds. Adjust thoughtfully, ideally in partnership with your healthcare provider. Restful nights are not about perfection, they're about preparation. They're about supporting your body at the right time in the right way. And sometimes, the difference between a fractured night and a peaceful one begins long before your head ever touches the pillow.